Hey guys, I hope you're okay. I hope that you have been being safe. I hope that you have had fun so far. I hope that you have been doing your homework. I I hope that you have been doing your homework in your notebook and answering the questions. There's not a specific amount of questions because it depends on what everybody's been understanding. Um, so I hope that everybody's been writing something at least in their notebooks. There's not right or wrong answers. It depends on what you wrote, and there's not a specific amount of here of again here of questions because it depends on your listening skills and your analyzing skills. So everything will depend on what your skill is. Obviously, you cannot write 3 questions. Then that means that you're not paying attention. So you have to go back to the videos. But I hope that you're making your best effort. Don't send us questions yet until Wednesday, please. To all the ones that have already sent it, you're losing points. Because part of this is paying attention and following instructions. And if you send it before, you're losing points. Okay? So you have already lost them. So don't send anything before I say it. Send it the day that I say it. Just like the school. If the homework is for Wednesday, do it Wednesday, period. My glasses are a little crooked. Well, maybe it's my nose. Who knows? So please follow instructions so you don't lose any points. I hope that you're okay. On Tuesday, I'll see you Tuesday at 3 p.m. because that's the only time that I could have scheduled. And there's going to be a live performance where you can go and ask questions. As I said it to everybody before, don't tell me, Mr. Question number what, because I have no idea what you wrote. You have to write the question that you have in the comments and live if you want to know what the answer to something is. So don't tell me, Mr. I don't know number 1 or number 2 because I don't know your order. I don't know what specific design you gave it. So please, guys, do not tell me numbers. Tell me what questions you want to know the answers from. And you're going to have to write them. It's going to be Tuesday, 3 p.m. So I'll see you on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Tuesday at 3 p.m. again, and please show up because there's a bunch of you that don't show up, so we can discuss some of the questions. I will only discuss questions that you ask me, so the rest I'm gonna assume that you understand them, and I hope that there's a time for everybody to have a question answered. Be patient, and all the ones that have struggled with the live presentations, I'm sorry, that's out of my hands. That's your internet, so make sure that your parents are not connected to the internet in that moment. Anybody is connected. It's only 40 minutes. That only you have to be connected to the internet so you can be the one that is using all the quality. The rest, I'm sorry, that's not on my hands. So I need you to stop telling me it's slowing or it's cutting or I don't hear you. That's your internet. That's a you solution. You have to fix that. So make sure that nobody's working in that moment. It's only 40 minutes till your parents that I need you super focused. We are going to start reading chapter 15. After the whole failure of Beatrice trying to fight, and then she being aggressive, and then she in 4 winning the flag game and stuff. So catch the flag game. So in chapter 15 we are going to start, and this video will only be 21 minutes. So wherever I don't read with you, that you're gonna read alone. Part of the class, as you know, it's that you read alone, and I have never given you like do 5 chapters by yourself for next week. I have never, but eventually I will. So I want you to read this by yourself. Whatever, when I say okay, let's stop, and the rest you're gonna read it by yourself. So you're gonna read it by yourself. By the end of the week, I will give you an assignment in the platform that you have to fill in with information based on what we read, and I will explaining everything that I say to you here. So please pay attention. Please be focused on what the task is. Give me a second because I don't want my computer to be to lose the charge. It's not charging. I don't know what's going on. So please be focused on what we're doing right now. Please have a marker or your notebook on hand so you can know what you should be writing. If you're taking notes, take your notes. Just please be concentrated on this because part of that is going to be read by yourself. And I don't want you to lose any kind of point because you haven't been paying attention to my instructions. I know it's not charging. This is super negative. Well, I hope that the charge that I have is enough. I'm going to try to fix this later. Okay. Chapter 15. Visiting day, the second I open my eyes, I remember my heart leaps and then plummets when I see Molly hover across the dormitory. Molly is the one that she beat down. Her nose purple between strips of medical tape. Once I see her leave, I check for Peter and Drew. Neither of them is in the dormitory, so I change quickly. As long as they aren't here, I don't care who sees my underwear, not anymore. So as you can remember, the other day they were trying to beat her down, they were bullying her, and they took the towel off from her, and she was naked around the dorms, the rooms, because they were trying to bully her and she just came out of the shower. So they took the towel away from her and she was naked and everybody could see her. Okay. So she was checking so they wouldn't be there, so they wouldn't bother her. Neither of them is in the dormitory, so I change quickly. As long as they aren't here, I don't care who sees me on my underwear. Not anymore. So, reality, everybody wears underwears, everybody is somehow the same part, so she doesn't care anymore. Everyone else dresses in silence. Not even Christina smiles. We all know we might go to the pit floor and search every face and never find one that belonged to us. So people is gonna visit them today. I make my bed with the tight corners like my father taught me. As I pinch a stray hair from my pillow, Eric walks in. "Attention!" he announces, flicking a lock of dark hair from his eyes. "I want to give you some advice about today. If by some miracle your families do come to visit you," he scans our faces and smirks, "which I doubt, it's best not to seem too attached. I struggle with that word. That will make it easier for you and easier for them. We also take the phrase faction before blood very seriously here. Attachment to your family suggests you aren't entirely pleased with your faction, which would be shameful, understand?" I understand. I heard the threat in Eric Sharp's voice. The only part of that speech that Eric meant was the last part. We are dauntless and we need to act accordingly. So he doesn't want them to behave too childish around other people because he wants them to be dauntless. He wants them to be fearless. He wants them to be scary and all that. On my way out of the dormitory, Eric stops me. "I might have underestimated you, Stiff," he says. "You did well yesterday." I stare up at him. For the first time since I beat Molly, guilt pinches my gut. If Eric thinks I did something right, I must have done it wrong. Why? Because Eric is a bad person. If someone bad believes that you did something good, it means that you did something horrendous. "Thank you," I say. I slip out of the dormitory. Once my eyes adjust to the dim hallway light, I see Christina and Will ahead of me. Will laughing, probably at a joke Christina made. I don't try to catch up. For some reason, I feel like it would be a mistake to interrupt them. Al is missing. I didn't see him in the dormitory, and he's not walking toward the pit now. Maybe he's already there. As you remember, Al is the one that they were throwing knives off, and she took her his place. I run my fingers through my hair and smooth it into a bun. I check my clothes. Am I covered up? My pants are tight and my collarbone is showing. They won't approve. Who cares if they approve? I said my jaw. This is my faction now. These are the clothes my faction wears. I stop just before the hallway ends. Clusters of families stand on the pit floor, most of them dauntless families with dauntless initiates. They still look strange to me. a mother with a pierced eyebrow, a father with a tattooed arm and an initiate with purple hair, a wholesome family unit. I spot Drew and Molly standing along on the end of their room and suppress a smile. At least their families didn't come. But Peter's did. He stands next to a tall man with bushy eyebrows and a short, meek-looking woman with red hair. Neither of his parents look like him. They both wear black pants and white shirts, typical Candor outfits. And his father speaks so loudly I can almost hear him from where I stand. Do they know what kind of person their son is? Remember, Peter is a bully, so she's not impressed. Then again, what kind of person am I? Across the room Will stands with a woman in a blue dress. She doesn't look old enough to be his mother, but she has the same crease between her eyebrows as he does, and the same golden hair. He talked about having a sister once. Maybe that's her. Next to him, Christina hugs a dark-skinned woman in Candor black and white. Standing behind Christina is a young girl, also a Candor, her younger sister. Should I even bother scanning the crowd for my parents? I could turn around and go back to the dormitory. Then I see her. My mother stands alone near the railing with her hands clasped in front of her. She has never looked more out of place, with her gray slacks and gray jacket buttoned to the throat. Her hair is in simple twists and her face placid. I start toward her, tears jumping into my eyes. She came for me. Oh. I walk faster. She sees me, and for a second her expression is blank, like she doesn't know who am I. Then her eyes lit up, and she opens her arms. She smells like soap and laundry detergent. Beatrice, she whispers. She runs her hand over my hair. Don't cry, I tell myself. I hold her until I can blink up the moisture from my eyes, then pull back to look at her again. I smile with closed lips. Just like she does. She touches my cheek. Well, look at you, she says. You filled out. She puts her arm across my shoulders. Well, tell me how you are. You first. The old habits are back. I should let her speak first. I shouldn't let the conversation stay focused on me for too long. I should make sure she doesn't need anything. Today's a special occasion, she says. I came to see you, so let's talk mostly about you. It's my gift to you. My selfless mother, she should not be giving me gifts, not after I left her and my father. I walk with her toward the railing that overlooks the chasm, glad to be close to her. The last week and a half has been more affectionless than I realized. At home, we did not touch each other often, and the most I ever saw my parents do was hold hands at dinner table. But it was more than this, more than here, just one question. I feel my pulse throat. Where's Dad? Is he visiting Caleb? Ah, she shakes her head. Your father had to be at work. I look down. You can tell me if he didn't want to come, right? Her eyes travel over my face. Your father has been selfish lately. That doesn't mean he doesn't love you, I promise. So her father didn't want to see her. I stare at her, stunned. My father? Selfish? More sadly in that label is the fact that she assigned it to him. I can tell by looking at her if she's angry. I don't expect to be able to, but she must be. If she calls him selfish, she must be angry. What about Caleb, I say. Will you visit him later? I wish I could, she says. But the erudite have prohibited abnegation visitors from entering their compound. If I tried, I would be removed from the premises. You should remember that Caleb entered the erudite area, and the erudite faction, is all the people that is smart, all the people that does experiments, all the people that does study, all the people that is really clever. So these people believe that abnegation is hurting everybody. And because of this, they don't like abnegation people, because abnegation is the people that take control over everybody. And erudite thinks, the blonde pretty woman thinks that they should be running the country, not abnegation. So they don't like abnegation, so abnegation is not allowed inside the houses. Visitors for the erudite, they don't like abnegation, so they're not allowed. What about Caleb, I say. Will you visit him later? I wish I could, she says, but the erudite have prohibited negation visitors from entering the compound. If I tried, I would be removed from the premises. What? I demand. That's terrible. Why would they do that? Tensions between our factions are higher than ever, she says. I wish it wasn't that way, but there is little I can do about it. I think of Caleb standing among the erudite initiates, scanning the crowd for our mother, and feel a pang in my stomach. Part of me is still angry with him for keeping so many secrets from me, but I don't want him to hurt. That's terrible, I repeat. I look toward the chasm. Standing along at the railing is Four. Though he's not an initiate anymore, most of the Dauntless use this day to come together with their families. Either his family doesn't like to come together, or he wasn't originally Dauntless. Which faction could he have come from? There's one of my instructors. I lean closer to her and say, he's kind of intimidating. He's handsome, she says. I find myself nodding without thinking. She laughs and lifts her arm from my shoulders. I want to steer away from him, but just as I'm about to suggest that go somewhere else, he looks over his shoulder. His eyes widen at the sight of my mother. She offers him her hand. Hello, my name is Natalie, she says. I'm Beatrice's mother. I have never seen my mother shake hands with someone. Four eases his hand into her, looking stiff, and shakes it twice. The gesture looks unnatural for both of them. No, Four was not originally dauntless. If he doesn't shake hands easily. Four, he says, it's nice to meet you. Four, my mother repeats, smiling. Is that a nickname? Yes. He doesn't elaborate. What is his real name? Your daughter is doing well here. I've been overseeing her training. Since when does overseeing include throwing knives at me and scolding me at every opportunity? That's good to hear, she says. I know a few things about Dauntless initiation, and I was worried about her. He looks at me and his eyes move down my face from nose to mouth to chin. Then he says, you shouldn't worry. I can keep the heat from rushing into my cheeks. I hope it isn't noticeable. Is he just reassuring her because she's my mother, or does he really believe that I'm capable? And what did that look mean? She tilts her head. You look familiar for some reason. Four. I can't imagine why. He replies, his voice suddenly cold. I don't make a habit of associating with the abnegation. My mother laughs. She has a light laugh, half ear and half sound. Few people do these days. I don't take it personally. He seems to relax a little. Well, I'll leave you to your reunion. My mother and I watch him leave. The roar of the river fills my ears. Maybe Four was one of the erudite, which explains why he hates abnegation. Or maybe he believed the article the erudite releases about us. Then, I remind myself, but I was kind to him to tell her that I'm doing well, when I know that he doesn't believe it. Is he always like that? She says. Worse. Have you made friends? She asks. A few, I say. I look over my shoulder at Will and Christina and their families. When Christina catches my eye, she beckons to me smiling, so my mother and I cross the pit floor. Before we can get to Will and Christina, though, a short round woman with a black and white striped shirt touches my arm. I twitch, resisting the urge to smack her hand away. Excuse me, she says. Do you know my son Albert? Albert, I repeat. Oh, you mean Al? Yes, I know him. Do you know where we can find him? She says, gesturing to a man behind her. He's tall and as thick as a boulder. Al's father, obviously. I'm sorry, I didn't see him this morning. Maybe you should look for him up there. I point at the glass ceiling above us. Oh my, Al's mother says, fanning her face with her hand. I would rather not attempt that climb again. I almost had a panic attack on the way down here. Why aren't there any railings along these paths? Are you all insane? I smile a little. A few weeks ago, I might have found that question offensive, but now I spend too much time with candor transfers to be surprised by the tactileness. Remember that candor are honest, so she's telling them that they're crazy, not because she wants to insult them, but she's being honest. Insane? No. I say, dauntless? Yes. If I see him, I'll tell him you're looking for him. My mother, I see, wears the same smile I do. She isn't reacting the way some of the other transfers parents are. Her neck bent, looking around at the pit walls, at the pit ceiling, at the chasm. Of course she isn't curious. She's abnegation. Curiosity is foreign to her. It's something that she's not. I introduce my mother to Will and Christina introduces me to her mother and her sister. But when Will introduces me to Cara, his older sister, she gives me the kind of look that will wither a plant and does not extend her hand for me to shake. She glares at my mother. I can't believe that you associate with one of them, Will, she says. My mother purses her lip, but of course doesn't say anything. Purses like this. Cara, says Will, frowning, there's no need to be rude. Oh, certainly not. Do you know what she is? She points at my mother. She's a council member's wife, is what she is. She runs the volunteer agency that supposedly helps the factionless. You think I don't know that you're just hoarding woods to distribute to your own faction while we don't get fresh food for a month, huh? Food for the factionless? My eye. I'm sorry, my mother says gently. I believe you are mistaken. Mistaken? Ha! Cara snaps. I'm sure you're exactly what you seem. A faction of happy-go-lucky do-gooders without a selfish bone in their bodies, right? She's insulting her. She's telling her that she believes she's good, but she's just being ironic. Don't speak to my mother like that, I say, my face hot. I clench my hands into fists. Don't say another word to her or I swear I will break your nose. Back off, Trish, Will says. You're not going to punch my sister. Oh, I say, raising my eyebrows. You think so? No, you're not. My mother touches my shoulder. Come on, Beatrice. We wouldn't want to bother your friend's sister. She sounds gentle, but her hand squeezes my arm so hard I almost cry out from the pain as she drags me away. She walks with me, fast, toward the dining hall. Just before she reaches it, so she takes a sharp left turn and walks down of the dark hallways I haven't explored yet. So the rest of the chapter, that is it's nothing, it's just 2 pages. You're going to read it alone, and you're going to try to analyze it as much as you can. Remember that you should be reading alone, and you should be reading this more than once. At some point, we're going to have an assessment, and I hope that I can see you Tuesday at 3 p.m. So have a good day, and I'll see you soon, guys.